Good afternoon. This is the second series of classes on accounting standard, accounting paper 1 for CA Inter. Today we will be discussing accounting standard 2, valuation of inventory. As I have already told, accounting standard is very important for both papers. From this, 25 to 30 marks will be covered, and further compulsory question will always be from accounting standards. Accounting standard 2 is very important from academic point of view as well as from the point of view of your future work, your professional work, because the importance of valuation of inventory lies in the fact that it affects both the profit and loss account and balance sheet, that is profit as well as current assets. The value of inventory will be appearing in balance sheet under current assets as well as in profit and loss account. Profit will be affecting, or valuation of inventory will be affecting the profit also, as it is an important item in the P&L account. That's the reason why accounting standard is almost all organization will have inventory also. Wherever you go, inventory will be there. So from audit point of view also, accounting standard 2 must be revised before starting audit. So valuation of inventory, AS2 revised. Wherever an accounting standard is revised, along with the name, that revised also should be shown without fail. So the name should be exactly as such. Valuation of inventory, AS2. For all questions, in all answers from question in AS part, as far as possible, you should try to include the name as well as number of the standard. If it is revised, you should include revised also. Then you will get a very good mark. So here, valuation of inventory. What is inventory? That must be learned first. Inventory means asset held for sale in the ordinary course of business. Asset held for sale in the ordinary course of business. So finished goods will be inventory. Finished goods are held for sale in the ordinary course of business. Note the point, ordinary course of business is important and for sale is also important. Then second item is held for consumption in the process of production for sale of such a product, that is raw material and work in progress. So raw material and work in progress as well as finished goods will be covered under the term AS2 inventory. Work in progress means semi-finished or half-finished. Raw material is converted to finished goods, and it may take, depending upon the volume of production required or the nature of industry, it may take 1 week, 1 year, or like that, 1 month, or depending upon the material and the product and process. Consumable other than machinery spares are also covered under inventory. Consumables specifically for a machinery will not be covered in this inventory heading. All other consumables will be covered under inventory. And loose tools also are specifically included in the inventory. Loose tools means organization using tools. Current assets, that is one of the item, and that is covered under inventory. There are certain items which we may think may be inventory but specifically excluded. Specific exclusion. These items are not inventory. That also you must learn. Work in progress under construction contract, AS7. Construction contract is entirely different type of contract, and hence work in progress valuation method is also different. So work in progress of wherever, general rule is that wherever specific accounting standards are there, that item will be covered in that accounting standard alone. So work in progress under construction contract is covered under AS7. So even if work in progress is there, that is not an inventory. Then work in progress of service providers, that is also not considered as an inventory. Service providers means SEA firm. An audit work is obtained. For 1 year audit, 1 lakh fee is there. January, the audit work has been started. January, February, March, you can bill, but not billed. That may be a work in progress, but it is not considered as work in progress and will not be considered as an inventory. Then financial instruments, shares and debentures, that also is not covered under this head AS2. Then livestock, agricultural and forest products, minerals and natural resources. For all these items, separate set of accounting standards are being framed, and now it is not covered under AS2, valuation of inventory. Then intangible assets, software. For a software company, there may be several programs developed. They are intangible. That will be covered, specific inclusion. That will be covered under inventory, AS2. Whether an item is included in inventory or not depends on the person who holds it and the purpose of holding. That generally, if somebody asks whether an item is inventory or not, straight away you may not be able to answer. We can answer only if who is holding that item and what's the purpose of holding. For example, a car dealer, a car is an inventory. For Maruti or Popular Automobiles, car they are holding a stock. Several cars will be available there and they are intended for sale. So car is an item of inventory for a car dealer. But for a normal company, car purchased for the travel of their managing director or chairman or their employee, that will be come under PPE, that is plant, equipment, property, plant and equipment covered under AS10. Property, plant and equipment are fixed asset covered under AS10. For a land broker, land is an inventory. Land broker means purchasing land and selling land, developing land, etc. Developing land also will be covered under inventory. So for a land broker, land is an inventory. For others, land will be a PPE. But empty boxes are not inventory but other current assets. If an organization is having so many empty tin barrels dealing with oil or using oils, they may be having several oil barrels empty. That is not sold in the ordinary course of business and that is included as current asset, but other current asset may be classified as other current assets, may be scrap. Then AS2, the golden rule of AS2 is how to value inventory. How to value inventory, and the golden rule is cost or net realizable value, whichever is lower. All the inventory except raw materials should be valued, always valued at a cost or net realizable value, whichever is lower. That is very conservative approach. Whichever is lower, when inventory is more, profit will be more, and it will end up in payment of dividend out of capital if inventory valuation is upward lifted or inventory valuation is more. So the rule says that net realizable value, if it is less, inventory should be valued. Finished goods as well as work in progress should be valued at that price. And in the case of raw material, cost alone need be considered usually, because raw material is never intended for sale, but the intention is to hold that item for manufacturing, or that is used for conversion to work in progress, and finished goods are sold after finishing the work. So raw material is not usually intended for sale. Hence, the realizable value, net realizable value, is not considered in the case of raw material because of two reasons. One, it is not intended for sale in the ordinary course of business. Second, it is used for manufacturing product, and in an inflationary trend, cost of raw material will be getting increased, never it get reduced. So raw material is valued at a cost, and net realizable value is not at all counted in the ordinary course of business, but finished goods and work in progress are valued at lower of net realizable value or cost. This is a conservative policy, just to avoid payment of dividend out of capital by showing higher inventory. Then cost or net realizable value. Net realizable value simply means whatever you will get if you sell it to outside party. That is realizable value. Net realizable value means if any expense is there, that should be deducted. That is net realizable, brokerage, commission, or any discount from selling price. Sometimes there may be a commission. Upon net of commission, whatever you will get while that item is sold, that is net realizable value. Then cost. Cost means three costs are there. Procurement cost, cost of purchase. Cost include three items: cost of purchase, cost of conversion, and other cost. Very important to note. Cost of purchase means so many items are included in the cost of purchase. Basic price, that will be the basic price of an item. Along with that, several taxes, duties, etc. will be there. That will be added if they are non-refundable. Taxes and duties, refund, for which a refund credit is obtained, input credit is obtained, GST, input credit is obtained. That will not be added with the price because that is being refunded. Then freight, inward insurance. If you are if your material is insured, you will have to pay insurance premium to avoid the risk in the transit. Insurance is usual pattern. Company will usually insure the material. Then inward freight, brokerage, commission, etc. also must be considered in the cost of purchase. Then cost of conversion. All directly attributable expenses, including overhead, allocated in normal capacity. Normal capacity you will have to note. Conversion cost directly attributable, that is raw material, labor, etc. If you can directly consider or attribute or count or measure, that can be directly added. But in certain expenses, that is like overhead expenses, you may not be able to directly charge, but those expenses can be allocated on reasonable basis, especially fixed overhead expenses. A normal share can be allocated to the cost of inventory. But it must be noted that while allocating the overhead expenses, normal capacity alone should be counted if actual capacity is less than normal. If actual capacity is more than normal capacity, allocation can be based on actual production because the intention is not to value inventory on higher side. That is, if production is very less and allocation of overhead is done on the basis of lower production, overhead rate will be more. So cost of inefficiency is charged on to the cost of inventory and higher profit will be the result. So cost of inefficiency, that is lower production, means at any point of time there will be inefficiency. Hence the lower production. Cost of inefficiency should not be charged to the cost of the product or inventory. If it is charged to the inventory, value of inventory will be more, and if value of inventory is more, the profit also will be more. That may end up in distribution of dividend out of capital. Then other cost. Other cost also can be considered. What are the other cost? Other costs include normally all costs to bring the inventory to the present location and condition can be added with inventory. That is a term used everywhere. Cost to bring the inventory to present location and condition. In accounting standard, if any specific terms or quotings are used, it is better to use that quoting itself. So, in the textbook, you can refer to Bayer Act also, accounting standards, as well as in text. Whenever quoted sentences are there, try to use that itself. So, other cost means cost to bring the inventory to present location and conditions. Along with that, R&D expenses, primary packing expenses, etc. Selling and distribution expense cannot be added because it should be charged to selling and distribution expense. Secondary packing should be charged to selling and distribution. Primary packing can be added with primary packing means which is absolutely essential. A soap, a cover will be there primary. Secondly, very good packing, attractive packing, etc. will be there. That cost must go to selling and distribution expenses. But certain items you cannot take without a primary packing. In that case, primary packing cost is absolutely essential for that product, and that can be added with the inventory. Secondary packing will be to attract customers, to keep the item saleable. That cost. An advertisement also will be there in the packing. Advertisement value also will be there. That cost is not considered in inventory but considered as selling and distribution expense. Quality assurance cost also can be added as other cost because it is fundamentally absolutely essential for any organization to ensure the quality, assure the quality. Whatever expenses you are incurring to assure the quality, that can be added with other cost of inventory. So, what are the cost? What are not the cost also you must learn. Cost does not include. That must be noted. Cost does not include. Acronym is IAS. First is interest. For AS, for all A as well as S, two items are there. I means cost of borrowing, interest cost. Cost of borrowing main cost is interest cost. If you borrow money, if interest is incurred, that must not be added with the inventory in usual term, usual in routine. But if the asset is not a qualifying, if the asset is a qualifying asset, thing will be different, interest can be added. Qualifying assets means an asset which requires substantial period of time for completion and may take period more than 1 year. Substantial period is not defined in the Act as per AS 16. However, a period of 1 year or more is considered as substantial. For the conversion of an item to finished goods, if substantial period is covered, money borrowed, interest portion on money borrowed can be added with the product. Substantial period of means inventory means a shipbuilding. A ship is constructed or manufactured for sale. Ship is an inventory as it is manufactured for sale. Shipyard. Shipyard is constructing huge ship which may take 2 or 3 years for completion. If huge substantial amount is also invested in the manufacture of that. So if money is borrowed, interest on that asset can be added with the valuation of inventory, but usually interest is excluded. So qualifying asset alone, interest can be added. Qualifying assets means assets the manufacture of which take substantial period of time, which is usually considered more than 1 year. Administrative cost should not be included. That is, general administration charges is charged to P&L and not added with the inventory. We have seen that fixed expense can be added, fixed overhead can be added on usual capacity, normal capacity, but administrative cost is never added with the inventory but charged to P&L account. Say managing director's salary, secretarial salary, etc. comes under administrative cost. That need not be added. That should not be considered in the valuation of inventory. Then one of the main thing, abnormal loss. Abnormal loss should not be charged to cost of inventory but is charged to P&L account. It is very clear from the abnormal loss specific exclusion that normal loss can be added. Normal loss means for certain items may be having an inherent characteristics that item may susceptible or item may there may be usual pilferage. For example, if petroleum products, 1000 liters of petroleum product is brought, you may not expect 1000 liters as and when it is unloaded and kept for sale. There will be usual pilferage. So, there will be a usual standard or what is normal loss and what is abnormal loss can be segregated. If during the way some theft is happened and 250 liters of diesel or petrol are lost, that is case of abnormal loss. But 1000 liters when reached at the station, it is 990. 10 liters may be lost due to pilferage, evaporation. Oil, these petroleum products are highly susceptible to evaporation. So quantity will be less. So the cost can be calculated on the basis of 990. Total cost by 990 is enough for the valuation of inventory. But if any huge quantity is lost due to theft or anything like that in an accident, huge quantity is lost, we cannot consider it as normal loss, but it is termed as abnormal loss and it is charged to P&L account. It cannot be considered as a normal loss and added with the cost of inventory. Then storage cost. Storage cost is not added with the inventory cost, but an exemption is there. Everywhere you should study the exception also. Storage cost, if it is essential to make the product saleable, same can be included. In certain cases, you will have to keep certain items after finishing for certain period to make the item saleable. For example, wine. Wine, as and when it is manufacturing is over, you cannot sell. It should be kept for 6 months or something like that. Certain arishtas, asavas in Ayurvedic medicine, that must be kept for a specific period of time. Then only it can be sold in the market. So, if that storage is essential part of the manufacturing, that storage cost can be added with the value of inventory. Otherwise, usually storage cost is not added and it is considered as expense in the P&L account, not considered as a factor of valuation in the inventory. Selling and distribution expense usually completely excluded and charged as selling and distribution expenses. So, what are included and what are excluded, very important from the point of examination point of IAS is excluded. AS, 2 items for everywhere, 2 items are there. I is interest cost, then administrative cost and abnormal loss, storage cost and selling and distribution. In IAS, AS is included. So, this is acronym IAS, cost which does not include. That also you must learn. Then, cost to be considered item by item basis, not in total. That is very important. And 2 or 3 problems in your textbook illustrations are based on this. That is, cost or NRV to be considered item wise. If you have several items in the stock, all the items you should add and then all the items NRV, that should not be done. Item wise, if A is there, B is there, C is there, what is the cost of A? What is the net realizable value of A, which is short? That is the cost of A. B, again you should count what is the cost of B, what is the realizable value of B, which is the lowest, that must be brought to the last column if you are valuing inventory. C, that is item wise you have to calculate and found out lesser of cost or realizable value. Total should not be taken. That is 2 questions are there based on this. Once or twice this has been asked for examination also. So, നമ്മൾ മലയാളത്തിൽ പറയും ചക്കയും മാങ്ങയും തേങ്ങയും കൂടിയും കൂട്ടരുത്, ചക്ക ഒന്നായിട്ട് എടുക്കണം, മാങ്ങ വേറെ എടുക്കണം, തേങ്ങ വേറെ എടുക്കണം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ 3 ഐറ്റം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ 3 ഐറ്റത്തിനും കോസ്റ്റും കാണണം, നെറ്റ് റിയലൈസബിൾ വാല്യൂം കാണണം. ഏതാണോ കുറവ് അത് ഔട്ടറിലേക്ക് ഇടണം ഫസ്റ്റ് ഐറ്റത്തിന്റെ, ദെൻ സെക്കൻഡ് ഐറ്റത്തിന്റെയും അതുപോലെ ഇടണം, ദെൻ തേർഡ് ഐറ്റത്തിന്റെയും ഇടണം. ഓരോ ഐറ്റം വൈസ് ആയിട്ട് കൗണ്ട് ചെയ്യണം. ദാറ്റ്സ് ദ specification as per AS2. That is specifically stated in AS2 on the valuation approach, how to value. Then joint product and byproduct, that also is covered under AS2. Joint product and byproduct, basic difference is that if in the process of production 2 or more products emerges and that items have almost equal value or sizable value or significant value, we will call it as joint product. In the extraction of petroleum products, so many items, kerosene, grease, crude oil, so many items are generated, all have value also, significant value. So they are classified as joint product. Byproduct means secondary item will not be having so much value. നെല്ല് കുത്തുന്നു, അരി ഉണ്ടാകും മെയിൻ പ്രോഡക്റ്റ്, അതിൻ്റെ കൂടെ തവിട് ഉണ്ടാകും, ഉമി ഉണ്ടാകും. റൈസ് ബ്രാൻ, തവിട്, റൈസ് ബ്രാൻ വില വളരെ കുറവാണ്, സ്റ്റിൽ കാറ്റിൽ ഫീഡായിട്ട് അത് ഉപയോഗിക്കും. സോ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ബൈ പ്രോഡക്റ്റ്. So joint product, the bifurcation or the separation between joint product and byproduct are depending upon the value of the product generated during the process. പാല് ഉൽപാദനം നടക്കുന്നു, പാല് ഉൽപ്പാദിപ്പിക്കുന്നു, തൈര് ഉണ്ടാകുന്നു, വെണ്ണ ഉണ്ടാകുന്നു, പാല് തൈരാക്കുമ്പോൾ. അപ്പൊ അതിന് എന്ത് വില കിട്ടും നോക്കിയിട്ടാണ് അത് ജോയിന്റ് പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് ആണോ ബൈ പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് ആണോ എന്നുള്ളത് ക്ലാസിഫൈ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. മിനിമം വില അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വളരെ ഇൻസിഗ്നിഫിക്കന്റ് ആണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതിനെ നമ്മൾ ബൈ പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറയും. അത് ക്ലാസിഫിക്കേഷനിൽ മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ, വാല്യുവേഷനിൽ മറ്റ് ഡിഫറൻസ് ഇല്ല. ബൈ പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് ആണെങ്കിൽ സിഗ്നിഫിക്കന്റ് വാല്യൂ ഉണ്ടാകില്ല സെക്കൻഡ് പ്രോഡക്റ്റിന്. ജോയിന്റ് പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് ആണെങ്കിൽ നല്ല വില അതിനും എല്ലാ പ്രോഡക്റ്റിനും കിട്ടും. അതാണ് ജോയിന്റ് പ്രോഡക്റ്റ്. കൊപ്ര ആട്ടുന്നു, വെളിച്ചെണ്ണ കിട്ടും, പിണ്ണാക്ക് കിട്ടും. പിണ്ണാക്കിന് അത്രയും വില കിട്ടില്ല, വെളിച്ചെണ്ണക്കാണ് മെയിനായിട്ട് വില കിട്ടുക. യെസ്. സോ റൈസ് ബ്രാൻഡ് നെല്ല് കുത്തുമ്പോൾ അരി ഉണ്ടാകുന്നു, നല്ല വില. റൈസ് ബ്രാൻഡ് തവിട് ഉണ്ടാകുന്നു, അത്രയൊന്നും വില കിട്ടില്ല. ഉമി ഉണ്ടാകുന്നു, അതിനൊരു വിലയും കിട്ടില്ല. അതിനെ നമ്മൾ വേസ്റ്റ് എന്നാണ് പറയുക. So, how to value these items? How to bifurcate joint cost? Joint cost എങ്ങനെ bifurcate ചെയ്യണം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഇതിലെ മെയിൻ പ്രോബ്ലം. The problem is how to calculate the cost of raw material in the production of joint product. Basically, based on selling price of the item, we divide the total cost. അതായത് അരിയും തവിടും ഉണ്ട്. തവിടിന് എത്ര കോസ്റ്റ്, നെല്ലിന് കോസ്റ്റ് വന്നു, അത് അരിക്കും തവിടിനും കൂടി വീതിക്കണമെങ്കിൽ എങ്ങനെ വീതിക്കും? അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ക്രൂഡ് ഓയിൽ മേടിക്കുന്നു, പെട്രോള്, ഡീസല്, ഏവിയേഷൻ സ്പിരിറ്റ്, ഗ്രീസ്, ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരുപാട് ഐറ്റം ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നു, അതിൽ നിന്ന് കിട്ടുന്നു. അപ്പൊ അതിനെല്ലാം കോസ്റ്റ് എങ്ങനെ അലോക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം നോക്കി ഇതിന്റെ എല്ലാം സെല്ലിംഗ് പ്രൈസ് എത്ര വരും എന്ന് നോക്കിയിട്ട് ആ ബേസിസിൽ അലോക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാനാണ് പറയുന്നത്. സോ ജോയിന്റ് കോസ്റ്റ് ക്യാൻ ബി അലോക്കേറ്റഡ് ബേസ്ഡ് ഓൺ ദ സെയിൽസ് പ്രൈസ് ഓഫ് ദ ബൈ പ്രോഡക്ട്സ് ഓർ ജോയിന്റ് പ്രോഡക്ട്സ്. ബട്ട് a difficulty is that in certain cases, certain byproducts may not be saleable as such. That may be used in the industry itself. In that case, final product, if any, will be saleable. So, after separation, whatever cost is there, that must be deducted from the final sales price, and at that point of separation, what's the cost should be arrived at and cost can be allocated. That is, തവിട് വിൽക്കുമ്പോൾ എന്ത് കിട്ടും? തവിട് നമുക്ക് ആസച്ച് വിൽക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ലെങ്കിൽ തവിട് ചാക്കിലാക്കി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ശുചീകരിച്ച് അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. അങ്ങനെ കൊടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ 100 രൂപ തവിടിന് കിട്ടും. ഇത് ശുചീകരിക്കാനും പാക്കറ്റിലാക്കാനും 10 രൂപ ചെലവുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ തവിടിന് ബിഫോർ ദാറ്റ് 90 രൂപ എന്നെടുക്കും. അരിക്ക് കിലോന് 40 രൂപ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 30 രൂപയുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ 40ഉം 50 കിലോന്റെ ചാക്കിനാണ് 90 രൂപ എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ 1 കിലോന് എത്രയാ? ആ ബേസിസിലാണ് അലോക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുക. അപ്പോൾ ജോയിന്റ് പ്രോഡക്റ്റിനും ബൈ പ്രോഡക്റ്റിനും ഹൗ ടു അലോക്കേറ്റ് എന്നുള്ളതും കൂടി ഇതിൽ കവർ ചെയ്യും. ഇത്രയാണ് ജനറൽ ആയിട്ട് തിയറി പാർട്ടിൽ. ദിസ് ഇസ് ദ മെയിൻ ഫോക്കസ് ഇൻ തിയറി ഓഫ് AS2 ആൻഡ് പ്രോബ്ലം വി വിൽ ബി ഡീലിംഗ് സെപ്പറേറ്റ്ലി. If from this up to this whatever you have covered, I think you have almost covered everything, and if any doubt is there from this side, you can ask. That also can be explained later. If any problem is, any point is to be explained more, welcome. Your suggestion is welcome. Okay, thank you.